Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Lead Generation During a Shift, with MAPS coach Richard Schulman. Please note this webinar is being recorded and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have questions for your coach, please type them into the question box located under your webinar control panel. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at maps@kw.com. That's all from me. Richard, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Troy. How's it going? Good morning, everyone. And we keep changing the name of the webinar here. So, welcome, everyone. We're going to talk for the next 30 minutes or so about generating and converting leads, and specific to this current time period. My name is Richard Schulman. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself and walk you through the program right now. Like Troy said, if you guys do have questions, pop them in the questions tab. I'll try to get to them during the time we have, or if not, we'll email you an answer later today. Let's jump right in. So everyone take out your phone right now and text 5 people and ask them to meet you for coffee. So how many of you guys can actually meet someone for coffee right now? All right, probably not a lot of you. I know that you can't answer my questions, but just prompting them. So normally this class is really focused on what I call social engagement as a key lever for selling homes, right? Normally we're really focused on how do I make relationships, build, cultivate relationships, and convert those relationships into sales. A lot of what I teach revolves around engaging with people one-on-one, face-to-face. Now, here in California, in April 21st, we cannot do that. I think about 80% of you probably cannot do that either. So what I want to do is 2 things. First of all, I want you to learn the program the way I like to teach it, because I know that some of you are reopening today, and most of you will reopen in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. And our world will be different as far as face-to-face interaction. But that being said, that is still the way the future of our business looks. Our business is still reliant on one-on-one, face-to-face interaction. So we're still going to learn all of that stuff. We're also going to learn how to tweak and adjust it for the current market, right? So we're going to do both so that you guys have the skills to make sales today, but that's so you also have the skills to make sale in the future. So hopefully that makes sense. And if you make those texts for coffee dates, those are going to be virtual coffee dates for now, right? Okay, so usually I have you guys do the texting. I'm very big on texting for appointments. When you take this class, you're going to be texting for appointments constantly, because it's the easiest, most efficient way to make and connect with people, make connections with people, and then execute on them. Here's a little bit about me. If you don't know who I am, here I am, 13 years at KW. I love the training. I think I've taken just about every class that KW offers. I've sold just over $900 million in sales, and hopefully this year turns out okay. We'll hit $1 billion in sales this year. I run a 15-person team, and we're here in Los Angeles, California. We run a small team here that expanded around to several of the offices. What I'm really proud of, and one of the reasons why MAPS has me teach this class, and one of the reasons why I like this class is, several years ago I went to family reunion and I thought, I'm going to spend as much money as I need. I want to be one of those big shots on stage. I'll spend the money to buy the Zillow leads to get to where I want to go. And I listened to Gary talk there, and I met with all the vendors, and I thought to myself, this is not the path forward, right? I thought, I'm not going to go and spend tens and tens of thousands of dollars a month to buy garbage leads to maybe make some more sales, to maybe get myself to be a little more popular, and sacrifice my key number, profitability, right? The key metric I did not want to sacrifice is my profitability. So I actually had the opposite experience, going there hoping to spend a bunch of money, hoping to buy my way into success, which is not the right way. Follow along. I actually ended up going the other way, and I canceled all my ad spend. So in 2018, we finally got down to just about 0 ad spend. 2019 was our first full calendar year with no ad spend. So last year we did about $125 million in sales. We spent $0 on new leads. We spend money to market our listings, and we do get leads from that, but we're not spending any money to market and obtain any new leads. We're not going to anywhere to buy leads. We're not going to anywhere to buy data from anyone. The key thing that we're doing is we are diving into our database. I have my agents on 1,000-person maximum for the database, and they live in those databases. They will dive in, they will learn, They will meet those people. And what we realize is you only need a few people to make those types of sales. Okay, so how many people do you need? In my estimation is you need to get about 1,000 names and numbers in your database, and I'll teach you how to do that. And you need to have what I call 200 to 400 people that you would know at Trader Joe's. If you have a Trader Joe's, it's like a small neighborhood market if you don't have one, right? Or Whole Foods or something, right? So whatever your local market is, I want you to focus on having, we're going to teach you how to get to about 200 to 400 people that you would recognize at the market. That's all you need to succeed in this model of business, because those people will give you all of the clients that you need, their own deals, their friends' deals, their family deals, et cetera, et cetera. So how are we going to do this? What's the key to our business? The key to our business traditionally day in, day out is face-to-face meetings. So in a normal day, now I've been locked in my house here for 6 weeks. In a normal day, I drop the kids at school at 8:11. I'm prospecting till about noon, and I'm out of the office for lunch, and I'm meeting with people, lunch, coffee, dinner, drinks, whatever, 2-3 times a day, right? I'm very heavy on these things because that's how you build relationships and that's how you make money. Now, you can't do that right now, so we're going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to go over the scripting in a second, but I want you to still focus on this thing, that you need to have a significant interaction with another human who's a potential buyer or seller of real estate every single day, right? If you're locked in your house, you need to have those. If you're getting out of your house soon, start getting ready to have those safe appointments out in the world, right? Don't do anything that's going to make yourself unsafe or your clients feel uncomfortable, right? So write that down. You still need to have a significant interaction every day, right? It's a set buyer meeting, it's a set coffee date, it's a set happy hour with friends, whatever it is, and it's one-on-one, right? It's always one-on-one. It's not, if it's a group thing, that's great too, but you need to have 7 one-on-ones a week, minimum. So Gary's talked about the moat. You guys have heard the moat. The idea of the moat is if I have those 200 to 400 people and I can cultivate incredible relationships with those people, then no one else will get that business. And why is that important, right? What I want you guys to understand that, as a top producing agent in my local market, if I have a client I'm going after, I am not concerned about going up against another top producing agent, right? I figure I'm 50-50 against another top producing agent. Not where I want to be, but not terrible. But if I'm going up against the random, what I call the unqualified friend of the client, I'm probably 30% to get that business. My biggest challenge getting business is losing clients to less qualified agents who have better relationships with those clients. That's the trick for everyone out there, is that if you can go and build those better relationships with people, you don't need to have a big marketing budget or a big team name or anything else. If you have those relationships, you will do business. Does that make sense for everyone? All right. So let's talk about scripting for that appointment. I'm going to give you guys some basic scripts to work off of. Keep in mind, when we do the full class, we do a full hour on buyer scripting, a full hour on seller scripting, as well as other material too. But we're going to go over the scripting fairly quickly now, just because we have the 30-minute window. And I want you guys to get some actual good value out of the program, out of the call today. Something that you can take and implement in your business immediately after this call. This may seem obvious. A lot of what I teach actually seems fairly obvious, but I really challenge you to prove to myself and prove to you that you're actually executing on it. My hypothesis in all of this is that if we can execute everything here perfectly, meeting people in the world, connecting with them, and making appointments with them, if you can master that at a level that you could teach a class on it, then your business will thrive, right? There's nothing else that you need to do, right? If you can meet people, get them into your database, connect with them, build relationships, you will have a big business. You don't need anything else, right? Doesn't matter how good your listing presentation is or your marketing packet or your website or anything else. Gary said it at family reunion in February, and he said that he was repeating an NAR stat, about 77% of buyers work with the first agent they have a significant interaction with, right? That means if you're first there and you're the first one to have a real interaction, your chance of getting into business is very high. Okay, so let's talk about the buyer script. You guys can write these down. We'll go over them in a lot more detail within the class. The first question is, how are you, right? And the reason I put that there is because normally when we teach scripting, we teach you not to say how are you. How are you is a stop. and it allows the recipient, the prospect, to say, I'm great, but I'm actually really busy right now and I can't talk to you. So in traditional selling, we stay away from the how are you question as far as going into our pitch. Now with our care calls, the first question, the second question is really how are you, right? How's your family? And obviously these will differ depending on your knowledge of the client, right? Do you know their names of their kids? Do you know what the ages of the kids? Or did you just meet them at an open house 2 years ago and you're calling through the database, right? So I always start with how are you? And I always ask, how's everything going for you right now? You know, two questions of the same thing. And I'll ask if they need anything, right? Do you need anything? Is there anything I can help you with? Can I connect you to someone? You know, fortunately, most people have turned me down for that, but I have called people who said, you know what, I really have an issue and I need help. And I've been able to connect them to the right people who could help them, right? An organization or a vendor that can solve a problem. Now, normally that's, I need a roofer and it's raining, so help me out real quick with a roofer. The first time I had that call, it was, you know what, I'm immunocompromised, I need groceries delivered and prescriptions picked up. And we found an organization that will do specialized prescription pickup and delivery and helped her out with that, right? Those are real things you can do to help people out. And normally when you do that, you're building relationships based on real estate. This way you're just building relationships. But I want you to remember, when you have those positive interactions with people and then you build on those relationships and you call back and check in, did you get the delivery? How's the roof? Those check-in calls, you're building relationships. And when people are ready to transact real estate, they're going to be calling you. I don't do any proactive pitching of real estate right now unless I have a client and I know that they have something particular that they're interested in. But here's the math, guys, right? If I go and have a 1,000-person database and I call everyone, I connect with them, people are going to ask, how's the market? Should I buy my home now? Should I sell my home now? Is this the right time to buy, the right time to sell? Just by going out there and making these care calls, you're going to find people who are going to tell you that they're interested in buying or selling things, right? And when they are telling you that, then you can give them the pitch, right? Then you can share with them what you know about the market. But the key to all of this is that when you build those relationships and you make your prospecting calls, is that people will come to you and tell you they're interested, right? A while back, someone said, how do you get people to write offers? And I said, well, I don't really have a great close for writing offers. It's just that when I work with people, they're very motivated to buy because I'm not going to work with them otherwise. Same thing here. All we're doing is calling through a database, and the people who want to buy or sell actually raise their hand and say, I want to buy or sell. I heard something really great last week from my friend Stephen Cooley in South Carolina and Charlotte, North Carolina and South Carolina market. Stephen said about 30% of people don't care about what's happening right now and are looking to buy or sell a home no matter what. And I sort of knew that because we were doing business right now, but it really struck me as pretty observant of what's happening in the marketplace. So here's our script, right? If someone says, hey, Richard, thanks for checking in. We're actually doing pretty well. Is this a good time to buy? Is there anything out there? Here's my script. You know what? I'm seeing some really incredible opportunities in the market right now. Is that something you want to talk about further, right? Who says no to that question, right? We would ask the same question, by the way, 2 months ago, because we were seeing opportunity and we were seeing that there was opportunity to buy properties. We were seeing a slight decline in our market. Now, the opportunity is much more pronounced. What's the opportunity? Well, in our market, and this is what I want you guys to be able to replicate as my answer for your market. In my market here in Los Angeles, the opportunity is that, you know what, I'm seeing homes sell between 5 and 10% below where they're selling at a month ago. And I'm seeing far fewer offers on homes, which means the chance of you getting into a quote bidding war or getting outbid on a property is much lower. Do you want to talk more about that? Great. At that point, that's the end of that conversation. The next thing you want to do is say, you know what I can do is I can prepare a presentation for you and we can just do a Zoom call or a phone call later today. What time's good for you? Guess what? People are wide open, right? People have all day long to talk on the phone, right? So I'll give you 2 things here. I don't mind if you have the buyer meeting on the spot, right? So if this person, this imaginary prospect says, you know what, I'm free now, just let me ask you a few questions about the market, you should be ready and able and prepared to have that conversation on the spot, right? Now, and if otherwise, I'd prefer that you had time to prepare so you could know what they want more about their search, their price range, areas they want to look at, that type of thing, so you can prepare something to show them. But be prepared to have that conversation on the spot. That's your appointment, right? So when you get off this this call in a few minutes and you start picking up the phone and prospecting through your database, people are going to say, how's the market? Should I buy right now? You need to have a competent answer as to why they should or should not buy, right? in today's market with you and how you will advise them going forward when the best time is, right? Does that make sense for everyone? Guys, if you put questions in, I haven't gotten any yet, which means I think I'm doing an incredible job. But if you have questions, let me know so I can just give you some more feedback or detail on some of these things. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle asks, will you have that discussion without having them sign a contract? Yeah, I would do the buyer meeting, up front, but I always close my buyer meetings asking for a buyer broker agreement. And when we do the full class, we actually talk a lot about how do we execute on buyer broker agreements and how do we set people up for them? Because in our model, it's really crucial that we're not working with buyers who are not going to hire us. Okay, so buyer appointments, for now, everything's virtual. Some of you might be getting back to face-to-face in the near future. So like I said, everything will be taught both ways. And I just actually did another webinar interview before this. I also shared with them, a lot of this is not going to change, except that the meeting is virtual and not at Starbucks, right? So a lot of this material is not going to change. It's going to be more focused on how do I convert in this time period, but a lot of the same things apply. We're still trying to just meet with people every single day. All right, and here's another seller script that you can use. I kind of went over that one before, but if you want to see it written out and copy it down. All right, so let me give you one more second to write that down. Marsh asks a great question. Marsh asks, what are you doing to meet new leads? So that's a great question. So to meet new leads, what I would advise you to do is three things. Number one is get really active on your social media. And on your social media, you don't need to be sitting there posting about real estate all day long. If you look at my Facebook, I post about real estate maybe like twice a month, right? I'm really not using it as a platform to tell you about my open houses or every new listing that I have or every sale that I have. I post a lot of stuff about my kids because they're very engaging, and that's my fun thing. But I get a lot of attention for it, and then people think of me when they think about real estate. I do post a couple times a month about real estate, and I do get a lot of sort of cold leads from Facebook friends. So that's number one. Number two is I would ask for referrals. When you're out there prospecting, go back to your referral script. The referral script is, who do you know who might be interested in buying or selling a home, right? Or you could use this script, hey, Marsha, I'm seeing 10% price drops across the board. Do you know anyone who's looking to take advantage of that right now? It's a great question, right? So if you ask those questions, you'll get those answers. And the third option, which you may or may not want to hear, but for a lot of people is really the truth, is that if you don't have a big database right now and you don't have the pathway in the short term to build a big database, normally I say things like your kid's school, sports activities, recreational, social clubs are great ways to build database. That's where I built mine. That's not going to happen in the short term. Your other option is potentially joining a team, because I know teams like mine and a lot of other teams out there have lots of leads. They can't connect with all the people, and they need people to get in there and make phone calls. And so joining a team is probably your number three option there. So I think that's all the questions. There we go. So we had another question from Trisha about how do you address that with sellers? Well, I always love when people say it's a great time to buy and a great time to sell. And we know that it's probably never really true. So all I have is information. It's not a great time to buy or a great time to sell. It's a time period. And if you want to sell, here is what is possible. If you want to buy, here's what's possible. Are we going to see bigger price drops than 5 to 10%? Probably, maybe. I don't know. But today, this is what's out there. If you're interested, great. If not, that's fine too. And if you're a seller and you're concerned about selling, well, here's the information and you make the best decision possible. So you have the same care call, right? Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, how are you? How's the family? What are you guys doing? How's your job? These are great, simple questions. You got to actually listen and be engaged, right? You ask someone how their work is, and they will talk to you for 10 minutes, right? We're having a lot of 30-minute phone calls right now. No problem. Have those phone calls. Eventually, if they're interested in selling, they're going to say, what's the market look like? How's my house doing? Are people actually buying homes? I say, you know what? People are buying homes. We're writing and receiving offers every single day of this lockdown, right? And if they say, you know what, I'm thinking about selling, I might be selling, whatever it is, here's what I would tell them. I would say, listen, this is not a tremendous time in the real estate market as far as valuations. We know that prices are down in my market here between 5 and 10%. That might be different in your market too. And someone asked, that's a 100% true stat. I would say 7 to 10% is probably pretty accurate for the LA market today. Now, that being said, if you're thinking about selling this year, do you see a scenario based on what we currently know about the economy, about the coronavirus? Do you see a scenario in which the value of your home will stay the same or go up this year? And then you do the best thing a salesperson can do. Who knows what's the best thing a salesperson can do? I just did it. Stop talking, right? The best thing you can do on a sales call is stop talking, let the prospect talk. All right, there we go. I had a delay and then a bunch of people answered. So Jennifer, Salation, Jason, thanks. And a few more coming in. Based on what I'm seeing, here's a great script. Write this down. Based on what I'm seeing, the market's down between 5 and 10% here. With everything we know about the economy, 22 million unemployed, stock market's down about 25% from peak. Coronavirus is still a problem in our area. Based on all that, do you see a scenario in which your home stays the same or improves in value this year? Then you shut up, then you listen. Hopefully they say no, because the answer is no, right? And then if they say no, you say great. So we should talk about putting your house on the market if you're thinking about selling. If they say yes, ask them how they think that's going to happen. By the way, I've had people tell me 100% yes, they think their house will be worth more over the summer. I don't see how it'll happen, but we'll find out, right? All right, let's keep going. So the other thing that we're going to talk a lot about, we do a lot of very focused scripting. My scripting, the way I want to teach you is different than a lot of people. I am very brief on the scripting. I do not have time to have long conversations with people in a general sense. In this market, I have nothing but time. You might be able to hear I'm locked in a room and I have 3 kids outside who basically just scream from about 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Some of you guys probably have that experience also. Basically, now I have tons of time to talk to people on the phone, but in a normal world where I have my team meetings and my one-on-one face-to-face coaching and traffic to drive to and showings to do, I don't have that time. In a normal world, I want to be really efficient. So we spend a lot of time being really precise about our scripting. When I say really precise about scripting, I want you guys to understand everything I've told you here, you probably already know or you've seen. I want you to execute it at such a high level that you could come and teach this class next cycle. Now, I'm not retiring, don't worry. But if I were to retire, that you could take over this class. And what I mean by that is if you are so precise and focused and organized and disciplined in all those words that you could pick up the phone and do nothing but set appointments the way that I do and the way that I teach my team members to do, your business will grow. So we spend a lot of time on the scripting. The other stuff we work on is long-term follow-up and technology, right? How are we going to use technology to improve our business? Gary talks about being tech-enabled agents, right? That we're agents who are enabled by technology, right? That we're going to use our technology to improve our business and improve our efficiency. So we're going to talk about using our triple line dialers. We're going to talk about slide dials. We're going to talk about text messaging. Like I said before, I'm very heavy on text messaging. If you are stuck in your house for 5 weeks and you're sick of calling people, and I was there yesterday and the day before myself, I sat yesterday, I probably texted with 50 or 60 people. Those are great contacts, right? They're very efficient and they're purposeful, and people get to know that you're in front of them face to face, right? Through the phone. So if you're burned out from calling people all day long, go text 50 different people today, right? We're going to really make technology work for us. We're going to get really heavy into our database management, right? I never want to lose a deal. I have a listing that I'm hopefully getting signed today. I sold the guy the house in 2008. I've been prospecting with him since then. Guess what? I sold 51 homes in 2008. I've relisted and resold about 2/3 of them, and I've not lost a single one to another agent over 12 years. I'm very heavy on prospecting my past clients. We're going to go through all of that. How do we follow up? How do we create a database that helps work with us, right? But for now, the tip there is that we really want to focus on text messaging as a key way to connect with people. It's much faster, right? Much faster, much more efficient. And in a normal world, we go back to the first slide, which is, do you want to grab coffee? And when you use that script, do you want to grab coffee? That's the best way possible to set up those coffee dates I love going on, right? It's much easier to say, hey, friend, you want to grab coffee on Saturday, or do you want to grab lunch at the mall this week? It's much easier in a normal world than calling people and doing that, right? Let's talk about shift in general, because I think that, outside of what's happening, we were already entering a shifting market, or we were already in a shifting market. Now we're definitely in a shifted market and shifting market, right? There is no doubt in my mind that the market has changed. It's permanently changed or semi-permanently changed, and we are going to enter the next, housing recession. That doesn't mean prices are going to crater. By the way, prices could go down 5%. That could be it. It means that the nature of real estate will change, right? Agents are leaving the business, and they will continue to leave the business. The number of home sales will decline this year, right? We will be down in number of agents, the number of home sales. So what happens in a shifting market? In a shifting market, skills-based agents take over. There's my little proof of concept on the screen. I went from 9 sales to 51 sales in a 2-year period because of a shifting market and skills-based scripting. Right? So what I want you guys to focus on is I want you to focus on that by improving and expanding on your scripting in this market, focusing your skills. This will be a tough year for all of us. Gary said on a call he did right when this happened about 5-6 weeks ago, Gary said, this is not going to be your best year ever, but you want to have the best career ever. And he said that because he wants you to remember to focus on what the client needs long-term versus what you need short-term. I want to challenge Gary a little bit, as long as this doesn't get back to him, is that I actually still think that a lot of us are going to have our best years ever, because I'm optimistic that the sales market will improve and the number of agents will decline, and that will allow us to make more sales than ever, right? So I'm actually optimistic still that we still could have our best year ever, but if not this year, then certainly next year. One of those two will be everyone's best year ever because of the shift in the market, the shift that many of you have not seen, and that, really none of us have seen anything like that before. So I'll grab one more question. We'll get the rest back. With the texting, when I do texting with people right now, someone said they texted my comments to Gary. All right, Karen, I have to kick you off the call now. When I'm texting people, normally I'm saying, hey, Karen, you want to grab coffee, right? Karen and I are friends, or we used to work together, or I sold her a house a while back, whatever it was. I said, hey, Karen, you want to grab coffee? And we find that about 40 to 50% of people say yes to that, right? If you know them to some degree. Right now, I'm just texting people as a lead follow-up method, which is Karen's an old open house lead in my database. And I say, hey, Karen, how you doing? How's the house? How's the family? Whatever I know about her, right? So now I'm just trying to have those conversations on the phone for 2 reasons. One, I'm a little personally, I've been on the phone for 6 weeks now, 5-6 weeks with the same people over and over again. I've talked to everyone. I need to connect to all the people a different way. And I also need to connect to people that I haven't had the opportunity to reach on the phone. Some people don't answer the phone a lot. Some people prefer to text. So 2 good reasons there. I'll take a couple more questions, guys. Oh, there's a lot. We'll have to get back to some of these questions. Sorry. So someone said, what's the best time? I mean, it's never the best time. Is now is not the right answer, but ask the seller, where do you see the market going? And if they see the market going, nowhere but down, the best time is tomorrow, right? We can sell a house in this market. I've talked to agents in Detroit and in Michigan and in Colorado, where they're, not allowed to sell real estate. I'm not Colorado, the Bay Area of California. They're not allowed to sell real estate. They're not allowed to leave their homes for real estate. They're still transacting real estate, right? It can all still be done. So let me do this. I'll get to the questions if you guys want to stay a little bit late. Let me finish the slide deck so we stay on time, and then I'll get to the last few questions afterwards. The program that we have here, it's Marathon Lead Generation. It's going to be primarily the same class because I want to focus on the basics, the core fundamentals, and we will layer in additional training and additional information for current market situations as they change. We did our last launch. Our last launch started, everything was fine, and our last launch ended and everything was not fine, so we adjusted along the way. We're going to continue to adjust the scripting and the program as things change, right? There's the program details. There's the registration. We're going to email everyone a registration link. It's 4 one-hour live webinars. It's open question. As you can sort of see, we're trying to get to all the questions now. The investment's $149, and we provide you with all the written material that you need to execute on everything. And what I promise to you guys is this, is that everything I teach here is the exact same thing I teach my team. Everything that we teach is the exact same way that I execute it with myself and my team. So we really believe in the information and the material. That finishes the webinar, but I'm going to answer these questions. I would love to see you guys sign up and be on the webinar. I am very passionate, hopefully you can tell, about what I teach, and I'm really passionate about helping people really change their businesses. I want to get you guys out of paying tons of money for leads. I want to get you guys into a relationship with your clients and have a much more profitable and fulfilling business. So thanks for staying on. I'll answer a few more questions if you guys have them. And have a great day, everyone. Okay, next question is, Kayla asked, what's the best text script for an old lead that you haven't talked to in a while? I would just not presume that they know that when the last time you spoke was. It's a really common assumption that real estate agents think that people actually care that much about them. So Kayla, I would just text them as if you've been in contact relatively routinely. Start with the character script, right? Hey, it's Kayla. I just want to check in. How are you guys doing right now, right? How are things over there? How are the kids? How's work? Ask a few questions. And then if they're interested in real estate, they're going to let you know. And if they're not, they won't ask you about real estate. That's fine. And then just follow up with them. Now, the real answer, Kayla, is I hope that you have been still reaching out to them, even though you have not been talking to them. I hope that the answer is you've been texting, emailing, and calling them on a schedule, but that they just haven't responded. And by the way, they're seeing that, right? The listing I mentioned from 2008, haven't probably spoken to him in several years, but he's gotten my emails and voicemails and et cetera, right? Text for more info numbers. We don't use any. We didn't find very much success with that. For Tanisha, I like to have all the numbers go straight to my cell phone. So if you're interested in real estate, you're not going to text a third-party service. You're just going to call my phone. What we use is a call routing system, I think through CallFire, and it rings like 8 cell phones at once. So if you call our number on Zillow or on Yelp or on Facebook or on our signs, it's going to ring all the salespeople. So right now, obviously, I can't answer the phone, but someone can answer the phone if we get a call in. Open houses, yes, Patrick, we're doing virtual open houses, and we're doing Matterport 3D tours and safe showings. So we're adapting as we can. Our vacant properties are moving much better than our occupied properties. I will tell you that. Yeah, we're going to send out the links to everyone. A couple people asked for that. Marsha asks, I'm a buyer's agent on a team. I need to generate more leads. Well, I would tell you this, Marsha. I don't want to get in between you and your team runner. It is the responsibility of the team owner and the Keller Williams model to provide at least 50% of the leads to the buyer's agent. And yes, you do need to generate your own leads, but the agent, the rainmaker, needs to give you a fair amount of working leads. You can generate your leads through referrals from those leads and through your own sphere of influence, right? So really dive into your sphere of influence. A fun game you might want to play is the phone game, is pick up your phone and start in the A's and work your way to the Z's. Make sure not only is everyone in your database, but that you reach out and contact everyone that you have in there, right? When you've done that, Marsha, do the same thing with your social media. All right, this is the most questions we've ever gotten. So I'll stick around and answer all of them if you guys have time too. Brandon asks, how do you get buyers or sellers to get motivated to make a move at this time? I don't think you can motivate people, by the way, just to be clear. People are motivated or not motivated on their own. I think all that you can do, Brandon, is give them information and ask them questions, right? What's the information? In our market, here's what's happening. Sales are 20% of normal. Prices are down 7 to 10%, right? Your market, Brandon, is probably different or maybe not, right? Give them the information to make a decision, right? The schedule for the classes, Friday morning, and we do them at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 Eastern. All the classes are recorded. You get the recordings of the class afterwards, and you get all the material. We have a lot of paper material and a lot of support material as well. Okay, and I think Troy answered some of those. James asked, this is a great question, James. This is something that we're always working on, and we're always working on trying to find the right answer. How does someone on my team engage with my personal database? Well, James, you know what? I don't necessarily believe in that. You know, as I said, my agents have 1,000 people each. My personal database right now is down to about 200 people as my personal friends. I've handed off a lot of my work database off to agents on my team, but I still get involved with them. The only way you could do that is to have a care call from the team. Hey, this is Richard from James Kim team, and we just wanted to call and check in on you, how you're doing, and see if you need anything. That's probably the best way to do it for now. But if it's a personal friend of yours, or your spouse, or your kids' friends' parents, that call's got to come from you, right? This is a relationship building business. Patrick Thurman says, I thought I recognized the name, Patrick. Patrick says he's been in the class before and he's excited for the adjustments for the next one. Thank you for saying that, Patrick. Yeah, course is beginning May 1st. Karen asks, do you recommend virtual staging? I recommend real staging, but if that's not possible financially or through local restriction, then yes, I do like virtual staging quite a bit. Victoria, let me get back to you on your question there. I want to double check on that because we might adjust. I think that's all the questions you guys had. I'll wait one more minute, see if anyone else had a last minute question. I want to thank you guys. Almost all of you stayed on to hear me answer random questions, so appreciate that. Guys, remember, bottom line is, if you work on the scripts and you have a game plan that you're really focused on, then you are going to absolutely have a great year in sales, either building up a pipeline for next year or in actually doing sales this year. I got a bunch of questions. I'll keep answering questions. If you guys have to go for it. Someone asked, is there much Canadian content? I mean, if you guys have different houses than we have, you know, but it's the same business as far as I can tell, right? That you still have to meet with people and interact with people and build relationships to earn their business, right? I don't see any difference, but I would love to learn if I'm wrong there. Oh, we have some next question, actually someone from South Africa. So fantastic. Thank you for joining us. That's got to be quite a time difference. And yeah, someone asked, we do this course during Bold Pivot. Yeah, I've done Bold. I obviously have not done Bold Pivot. I've done Old Bold and New Bold. I guess this is New Bold. Our course is different than Bold. Obviously, we share a lot of the same principles, but it does not. It does overlap in some areas, but it's a lot different than Bold. I'm much more focused on, you know, really like nuts and bolts prospecting and plans. Bold does a lot of that. Bold also focuses a lot on mindset, motivation, which I don't do as much of, which is also very important. And it's 1837 in South Africa right now, so I guess not only a different time zone, but a different system of keeping time. So I guess good evening to South Africa. Thank you for joining us. It's fantastic that you came all the way from there. And that's the first for a marathon lead gen. So, all right, guys, I appreciate you staying on a few minutes late. Tricia says, what time on Friday? 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 Central. We're going to email everyone out a link for a recording of this. You can pass around. I would love for you to share it if you found it interesting. And I'd love for you to sign up, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.